Greetings, friends, and welcome to 2023 and exciting new prop builds. This time I decided to have a little bit of fun with a cloche. Cloche is this little thing here. A glass, display case. I bought two of these a couple years ago and I was like, I want to do something with them. And while Cthulhu is going to end up being evicted from his eternal prison, I will be replacing it with some mushrooms. Now, it's going to be pretty straightforward in how we're going to go about doing it. The small mushrooms, I think I'm going to make out of Sculpting. The base, I'm going to make out of styrofoam with some flocking and some extra stuff like that. And then the big mushroom will be made out of styrofoam. If you've been watching my channel, when I did the very large mushroom, it'll be similar to that. And anyways, so that's where we're going to start. First thing we're going to do is get some styrofoam. I'm using a piece of 4-inch here. And I'm going to be cutting out my mushroom to get ready to down. I'll show you how I go about that, and same with the base. Some of this is going to be up in the air as I go to build it, so you're along for the ride as much as I am. See you in a few. Because I'm a doofus, I just want to cut this out while hitting photo on my phone. And now it's also probably bad audio because I don't have my microphone. Anyways, all I did is I went through and, I feel so daft. Look at that, that is so confusing. I don't even know where I actually meant. There we go. So all I did is I just cut this out on two planes. So it's angled in one and angled in another to give the mushroom stalk a lot of character. I'm going to go through now with a knife and get this all smoothed down. I might not use this full height, but I want more than I need to make sure. But now I will record this next part here for sure, where I'm going to be modifying this mushroom top. Anyways, I'm going to just keep on going. Stopped. Okay, so you can see I just pretty much knocked a whole bunch of edges off to get the rough shape of the mushroom. I'm going to take my knife now and I'm going to continue to carve this down to where I need it. The bandsaw is really just for rough work, and of course watch your fingers on this blade. You saw every single time that my hand was never parallel to the blade, it's always beside it. So if something goes wrong, my hands are nowhere near that big angriness right there. Anyways, I'm going to go grab a knife now and I'm going to get this all smoothed out, and then I'll show you what it looks like after that, and we'll continue on. See you in a few. Now, this is the rough spot where we're getting to now. So I got the bottom cut out. I got to do the fins here somehow. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with that just yet. But this has got the rough shape of the mushroom that I want. I might go through and make my mushroom go flying across the area. Nothing but professionalism here. And, you can add a bit more, texture to it if you want. Give it a bit more deeper sides if you want to give it that, to come to that texture and look and feel that you want. We still have to sand this down. So, if you have rough edges, don't be too bent out of shape about them. We will get them to where we want them. So if you want more like the bell shape, this is where you would go through and you'd modify it to get it exactly to the shape that or not exactly, the rough shape that you want. So when it's all done, it's going to have a lot of character, and it's not going to look like a piece of styrofoam. But you can see already there that the mushroom is starting to look more mushroom than styrofoam. And you also saw that I went to town with the saw here to get the bottom cut out for where this is going to connect with this. So I'm going to cut this down, but I'm going to leave this top side because I think that once it's all in the cloche, I think I'm only going to need about that much of the base. But I want to make sure I've got lots so I can size it specifically. You can see the base of the mushroom is kind of long. I'm going to have to do some modifications here. But now this is the point where you'll be sanding it. I'm going to take it over to my spindle sander, which is just about there. And I'm going to use it to get this thing down. And once you've got it to that, we're going to be using the heat gun to seal it all up. So the next time you'll see both this and this is going to be hand sanded. And I will hit that with the heat gun. I might do it on video. We'll see. Oh. Anyway, you can see here, all I did was I cut a tiny bit off the top. This may have to go shorter still, but I wanted to see how it fit all together. And you can see now that the well up top allows for the base of the mushroom to go in. I've just used some light sandpaper. What is this? 150 grit to get it down to where I need it. Once I heat gun this, it really smooths it out. So don't stress it too much. And now the base here, I really like how these ribs look. So I'm not going to sand them too much. I think it gives it a very natural look. And sometimes I struggle with the stem, making them look good. So right now, I think this is where this mushroom's going to end up. I gotta do some of the stuff underneath, like the fins. Anyways, I'm gonna go there and we're gonna start working on the actual base. Now, once you have your mushroom mostly built, ignore those, we'll talk about those after, you're gonna take your cloche and using the outside radius, because it's easier to reach, or you could use a compass if you really wanted to, you're going to draw a circle on 1 inch styrofoam. You can go thicker or thinner depending on how much space you have, but you can see that right there, I don't have a lot of space between the top of that mushroom and the top of that, but I have enough. So I'm going to make it as a 2-tiered item. This circle is just going to tell me what my beyond absolute maximum is. I have to come back in about 1/8 of an inch off of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'm going to cut them out, and then then the next one here, I drew the base of the mushroom on where I want it to be placed. What that'll allow me to do now is I can go through and I can use a pencil and I can draw the shape of the second tier, and then I will use the pencil again to draw inside here to give me my first tier. And by doing so, I'll have a nice base that I know will fit inside of the cloche when we're all done. So I'm going to start getting this cut out, and once I get it a bit closer, I'll show you what I'm going to do here. Now, we need to make a mushroom. Well, these mushrooms to be more specific. First thing I'm going to do is get some Sculpting. This is just oven-baked polymer clay. You can use whichever one you really want. Just make sure that it's paintable. Going to get it all worked up, ready to go. Split off a little bit of it. And I find it works if I just make a ball, like so. And then from there, you start forming your mushroom cap. Push in the bottom, push out the top. Use your thumb to kind of set it exactly where you want it. And it's a matter of just going in there and messing with it to the point where you get a mushroom cap that you like. Sculpting is really good to work with stuff like this. It goes quickly and works really easy. Now, as you can see, there's your mushroom cap that you can kind of start seeing. I'm not going to go too much into detail on it. Then the next thing you'll do is you'll grab another piece, make it into a base, stick it in, and in a roundabout way, your mushroom is kind of done. You'll go through now with, you can use a toothpick, or if you have actual clay working tools, you can go through and do this. And you can see that's what I did here. Is at the bottom, I just did some, let's see if I can get it up closer here. There we go. You can see I just did some fins underneath. I took some notches out to give it some character. And the only other thing that I did is when I was about done, I took a shish kebab skewer and stuck it up through the middle so it has something I can connect it to the base. And now you go through and you make how many mushrooms as you want to kind of complement the big mushroom. And obviously you see that I'm starting to base coat these. The paint that I'm using is not the best for some reason. It just doesn't want to stick like my normal stuff. So I'm going to get these all base coated up, including the big mushroom, which I'll be base coating. And now the next step, so you just got to wait for 1 second here as I walk away completely unprofessionally. Okay. You know, nothing but the best for everybody. So what we have here is now the base. Ignore that notch out of it. We're going to talk about that at a later point. But here is the base we were working on before with the styrofoam. And as you can see, I've got it now all cut up. And all this is done by is using a knife. You just go through and you you pretty much just add in texture. You go through, if you want to add some breaks, what I do is I find that you go in and break it out. You go to the point that you like the way your base is looking. It's not an exacting art. You know, have fun with it. Most of it's going to be covered with moss and the such like that, so it won't be the end of the world if it doesn't exactly get to what you want. And now you can see here, there's a couple holes in this. This is for, it's for the mushrooms to sit into. And you can see why the shish kebab skewers are so important at that point. I'm only doing 2 extra mushrooms. And once I pretty much took this and then I just used wood glue to glue it together. I put 2 screws in through the bottom just to hold the layers together as it glued. I think there was a big pile of CDs that are like right here. Look at that, true lies. And I used it as a weight to hold it together while it glued. Then when I'm done, I use just standard acrylic caulk to fill in the gap so you don't see it there. Just so it looks that little bit better, you know, it smooths it out and all that. And this is dry now. I'm going to go get this painted. So we're going to start heading into the painting step of this whole process. And next time you see all these pieces, I'll have them base coat and I'll talk about how I'm going to go about dry brushing and all that. See you in a bit. Now you can see all the paint is on, and I stuck it to the base using just the same caulk that I used to fill in the gap here. Why caulk? Because it doesn't react with the styrofoam, and it does act as an adhesive over time. And same with up here, I stuck the mushroom cap on with that. Now, the colors that I went on with the base is I did like an orangish brown for the actual base of all the rock, and then I dry brushed with a darker umber brown. And if you look really closely, hopefully I can show that to you, you can see how the lighter brown is in the background. This is horrible. I've got light from my window and it's completely blocking up my screen. Anyways, you can see the lighter brown here, and then the darker brown that I dry brushed on, and then I did a light gray. Actually, no, I think it was a light cream to finish it off, to give it that look of rock. Most of this is going to be covered with moss, so it's not the end of the world. Now, we'll go over the mushroom base, because this was actually pretty special. I covered it in the same brown to begin with. Then I used a light brown to bring up the details. And then, using dark umber on my fingers, I took it and I rubbed it onto the flats, so it was going to add a bit of definition to it. And as you can see, it adds such a neat look to the whole thing. And then to finish it off, I just took a little bit of brown. I added some at the top here to darken it off where it goes into the cap. And I just hit some of the vertical surfaces here just to make it look that little bit better. And then the cap itself is just a red paint. I did brown on the clip outs here. And then I used a little bit of a lighter red to emphasize the edge. The only thing I'm going to say is when you're putting the red on here, always keep your brush strokes going up, because it looks really good when you're done. And then to finish it off, the small mushrooms down below, same thing, brown base, a little bit of dry brushing, and then the red on the top with a little bit of the color added. And that'll get you to the point where we're going to be putting on all of the moss and the such. So what I do is I go to the dollar store. You can go to a hobby shop or whatever. Let's see if I can get this into frame here. And they've got these bags of like pender moss or reindeer moss. Pender moss, good gosh. Reindeer moss. And I don't think we might use a purple. That's actually pretty cool. But they've got different types. And the one you're looking for, I don't even have it here right now. It's a moss that's a drier moss. And what it allows you to do is put it into a blender and you end up with this, which is like a very fine mix after you've mixed it up in your blender. Just don't tell your significant other that you're using the kitchen blender for your prop work. So we're going to be using this mainly to do a lot of the coverage, adding a little bit of the moss. You know, if you ever have some old woodland scenic stuff kicking around from an old HO train set, this will work as well. And the final thing that if you have it, I may or may not use it, is some Spanish moss. And you're just looking for texture more than anything to add a little bit of fun. So now I'm going to shut up. I'm going to relocate the camera so you can see me actually working on the base. And I'm going to greenify the whole thing. See you in a few, or not see right away, and enjoy the little bit of montage. Just as a quick heads up, I'm using just dollar store craft glue. that is broken beyond words, so I'm going to be getting real messy because I'm using my finger to put it all on here. This was already the first shot, and I couldn't get the glue out of the bottle. So I aggressively negotiated with it, and now we're good to go anyways. Enjoy me decorating this thing up. All right, so that's pretty much where I would like to end it off here on the actual, landscaping. And as you can see, just go and have fun. You don't have to be specific. You can add a whole bunch or as little as you want. I just love the way this thing looks when it's all done because it has such a look of life. And that's what I really like about that lichen. Anyways, I will see you when I get the final reveal. Oh, before I forget, the last step that you're going to be doing, and at least what I did, is on the cloche, I got rid of a whole bunch of stuff, that extra glue they didn't need. Look at that. I'll clean that off after. Anyways, you'll see that there's a notch back here. And what I have done here with that is on the actual cloche itself, I have taken just a standard LED strip light, the one that sticks, and stuck it to the inside of the bottom of the jar here pretty much. Running the cable through the bottom, that corresponds perfectly with the notch there. So when you put this on, the lid isn't kept up by the cable, and then you get some awesome lighting. Anyways, I'll see you in a moment. And another journey comes to an end. And as you can see, getting lots of reflections off of the actual cloche, because yeah, it reflects like crazy. And it turned out really nice. I love how this thing looks. And being under a cloche, it is dust-free, and it will keep, your prop nice and safe inside. It's one of the best parts of using it. As you can see how the lighting worked out in the end. Really fun little project. And this can add to a lot of displays, some easy decoration, and some whimsy to almost anything. And who doesn't like mushrooms? They just look cool. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out and coming along on this journey with me of the mushroom cloche. I'm a fun guy to be with, but I noticed when I was done, there was not much room left inside. A big thank you to all my patrons who throw me a bit of money each month to help me with doing these crazy projects. My subscribers, you guys are all amazing. And my viewers, it couldn't be doing this without you. And remember, if you if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and all that. Just a quick note on other stuff I've been up to. Everybody's been asking me about the 3D printed torch, if I'm going to be selling the actual plan of it, like the actual printed version. I am, so watch for that coming up on the store in the next week. I'm just figuring out timing and cost and shipping for that monstrosity of a prop. Anyways, look for that coming up, and I'm looking to be getting back into doing more frequent videos in the early part of the year, so look for those. Thanks for hanging out, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a good one all.